Hey, how are you today? This is Josh Patrick, and you're cracking the cash flow code. And my guest today is a repeat offender. Her name is Rachel Gogos. I love Rachel. Rachel is so smart, especially about marketing and branding and building websites and making you look good and putting you in the right position to get some real business. She's helped me a bit along the way, and it's always been fun to work with her. She's a former editor at the Wall Street Journal. I never knew that. The author of Build Your Brand, the soul-based guiding to digital marketing. So let's bring Rachel on, and I can stop talking. Hey, Rachel, how are you today?
Hey, Josh, great to see you.
It's great seeing you also. So you have a really interesting background and a real interesting outlook on how you might want to present yourself. And one of the things is that you believe people need a personal brand to grow. Can you expand upon that a little bit?
Yeah, well, the best thing about that statement is we all have a personal brand, whether we want to have one or not. I'd say a personal brand is a combination of our reputation, our personality, and then the part of it that really defines the brand piece or is the marketing aspect of it. So I think if you are growing a business, whether online or brick and mortar, one of the things that attracts potential clients to us might be our existing network, or and it certainly is our reputation. And the more we put our personality out there through different marketing tactics, the more we can attract the right customers to us. So yes, I do believe you need a personal brand to grow your business. And again, whether we like it or not, it's part of us, and we're using it sometimes overtly, sometimes subtly, but it's part of us.
I remember back in my food service days, we had about 90 employees, so I didn't actually do much of anything that was useful. But when we were trying to get a new piece of business, I would be the last person to go in and talk. And I would say something like this, say, hi, my name is Josh Patrick. I own this company. And I want to tell you a couple of things. One is that our manager here is unbelievably good at taking care of you. And 99.9% of the time, anything that has to be done, that's the person you're going to want to talk to. But if for any reason you're not getting what you need from that manager, just give me a call and I answer my own phone, I answer my own emails, and I will get back to you right away. And I can promise you, I am
Mhm.
very, very interested in your business. That was a really powerful closing statement.
Yeah, I can
And
see.
and
Mhm.
it was, the name of the company was Patrick's Food Service, which probably was not the best name. You really shouldn't name your company after you, I don't think. But you do have a personal brand, and people want to do business with the owner.
So true. So true. Especially in the food industry, I think, right? And the people it's come such a long way. But yeah, I mean there's data out there too that shows the more that a founder of any type of company is open around their beliefs, around their convictions, the more a potential buyer that is aligned with those same values and convictions, or at least similar, they don't have to be exact, is more likely to buy from that company. And the age that we're living in, the transparency that the internet has provided and good old Google allows potential buyers now to be a lot more savvy around the companies that they're actually giving business to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you look at it, even gigantic companies have a personal brand.
Yes.
If you look at Tesla, there's certainly a personal brand at Tesla,
Yeah.
and you either love it or you don't love it. I mean, I don't know anyone who's neutral about old Elon.
Yeah.
And those who love him want to buy his stuff, and those who don't probably don't.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think Richard Branson's another one, right?
Yes,
His
yeah,
Virgin brands, they very much, I think, reflect his personal brand.
yeah. But I don't think anybody has a real negative. I don't know anybody's got a negative opinion of Richard Branson, but I'm sure there are some. But
Maybe.
but yes, Richard Branson stuff has definitely has a personality. And then you look at the sort of the nameless brands out there, like Ford Motor Company. There's no personality or no
Hmm.
personal thing. There used to be a Ford that was running it. He
Hmm.
stepped down, and when he stepped down, it became sort of this, gray suit business.
Yeah.
And big ones, but small companies, we work with a security company, and the owner of that company is very sure whenever they're doing a big bid, that he shows up and he does, a version of what I did with my food service company. And it's very, very powerful.
Hmm.
Um,
It,
what about Google reviews? Is that important, do you think?
I think depending on the type of business you have, they can be very important and they definitely help with your search engine optimization too. What is tricky with Google is it's hard to bring those same testimonials to your website. But again, if you're in, say, a restaurant owner or some sort of product company, even services like, say, HVAC or something like that, I think those Google reviews can be super helpful, especially when your consumers might be Google searching to find a service provider or a product provider um, that is really dependent on what Google, right? What Google reviews are versus like being able to get a referral from a friend or something to that effect.
Or if you're a
And
for example, if you're a
yeah,
roofing contractor or a solar contractor, those businesses, I think Google
yes,
reviews are crucial because likely if you want to change your roof, yeah, you might ask for uh, you know referrals, but the truth is most people don't remember who did the roof last time.
yeah, so true. And it's that specific industry too. I think has a little bit of a bad rap too, right? Reputation wise. So I think Google reviews for someone who does roofing very well can dramatically enhance their business.
Yeah, yeah. So how would you, if you were going to brand a construction company,
Hmm.
how would you go about doing that?
Ooh, good question. Is it a big one or a small one?
Say it's 15 people, three crews.
So smaller and probably has like a geographic,
Yeah, they, they,
um,
they definitely are a local company. They're not.
yeah, more local. Exactly. So I would use Google to at least get their place established and um, get, have a place for Google reviews. I would do at least a maybe 2 to 3 page website that has background about the owner, who's behind it, the types of construction that they do, like what their specialty is. It'd be great if they have a spot to show kind of before and afters of their work, depending on the type of construction they do, or at least testimonials from clients. Nothing like a third party endorsement, and then an easy way to contact them. I would also consider doing some real local ads, targeted ads on Facebook to their demographic. So get and before doing that, I'd get really clear on who my demographic is. Am I selling to the male of the household or the female of the household? And have a clear understanding of like cost range that my ideal services go for. And so I would do some low cost ads in Facebook. And again, if you can, it has that real strong targeting capability. And depending on the owner and how comfortable they are being in front of a camera, I think it would be really neat if they even took their iPhone out from time to time and just did a quick, hey, this is a project we're working on, just to kind of like a 30-second to a minute behind the scenes, and even start putting something out like that on Facebook, right? If they don't want to put any money behind ads, I think something as simple as that, which has no cost for them, and even tagging some other of their clients, because what's amazing with a local company is like you can really tap into the power of local. If you tag other clients on any social platform, then that other clients um, friends will see that particular post, right? If they happen to be looking on social. And for someone that just has 3 crews, you could easily create some ways to have some like local viral marketing.
So one of the big challenges that businesses, up to say 25 people have
Hmm.
is what I call the hills and valleys. And actually, you listed that as your biggest challenge also, which is having a consistent flow of clients.
Hmm.
How can somebody, who's, spending some time in the field, doing quotes, trying to close deals, they get really busy, they stop trying to sell,
Yeah.
work dries up, they have to go out and find more work, and it seems to be this hill and valley of work that they do. What are your
Hmm.
suggestions for how to smooth that out?
That's a tricky one. It's something in the middle, something we're in the middle of doing, which is really kind of getting very strategic around sales and marketing. So there's kind of the tried and true content marketing that people can do regardless of if they have a sales channel, let's say, right? Because they want to be visible, and being visible means that you actually have to post content in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be online. It could be in person too, right? And those might be ads. So if we're talking about a brick and mortar, the tactics will be a little bit different than a web-based company. But I think the more visible a potential company is, right, whether it's the owner or like a front facing person, and then the more third party testimonials that they have, kind of stating that their work is solid and reputable and good, um, and then creating a way for that communication to be consistent, so they're constantly out there and visible. And a lot of that could be automated, by the way, because a lot of owners don't have time to create consistent content, right? So if they can sit down once or a couple times a month and create content that they put out on tools that can automate some of that to stay visible, um, that is extremely helpful. And getting a nice pipeline so you can stagger out your work over time is also ideal. Now, digging into how you do that is a whole other topic. And I would also say another thing is, if a business owner, even if they have kind of one and done services, if they can identify ways to have reoccurring revenue. So either that client has to come back to them for some form of maintenance, or that same client needs some additional services that align with the core services of that business, and possibly those services are repeatable. So you can create some sort of retainer revenue. Those are some tactics I know that we've implemented over the last couple of years, and we're just becoming more strategic about how to attract clients initially that may need those add-on services too.
Yeah, it's much easier to sell somebody you've already sold something to than to find somebody brand new to sell something to.
Totally. Exactly. And there's like no cost in you, the business owner, right? To sell somebody you've already sold to. That no like and trust factor is already there.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So, what are you guys doing to increase your consistent flow of clients?
Some of the tactics I just mentioned, I have a podcast, so we're actually looking at redoing some, or not so much redoing, but actually launching a second podcast that's much more targeted around sales, and uncovering our behind the scenes process. So that instead of that being an interview based one, it'll be more of a thought leadership one. Um, I am actually actively trying to get more visible. I've had my business for 15 years, and I am definitely a introvert when it comes to anything online, which seems so opposite what I do, which is help people build their personal brands. But I am definitely a self-proclaimed introvert when it comes to social media and all those things. So forcing myself to become more visible and forming partnerships again, like getting very strategic around referral partnerships. We've grown our business through referrals all these years, but now we're actively seeking companies where we have similar audience but different skill sets, different services we're selling to them, and we're creating a formalized affiliate program as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So, do you do that just by going out and saying, "Hey, we're in a similar business, and maybe we should promote each other," or do you try to make it a tighter integration than that?
I start with people that I already have a connection to, even if I don't know them, to have spoken to them on Zoom, but
Right.
I have some form of connection to them. So, for example, I'm in a year long mentorship program that's focused on business owners that also are very faith based, Christian faith based. So, in that program, there's at least 100 other business owners. I haven't met all of them, I've met some of them. And for example, like one of our tactics is for me to really take a much closer look at the people in that program and seeing again like where there's that alignment of similar customers, different services, but we already know, for example, like in that group, that we have uh, similar values in common, right? That's why we're attracted to this like Christian business group to begin with. And there's some other networks that I'm part of as well, where we are actively doing the same thing. So it's not completely cold and blind, like say a post on LinkedIn. I don't know about you, Josh, but I get so many cold emails trying to sell me something, or so many messages, direct messages on LinkedIn trying to sell me something. And personally, I just ignore those. So you know this approach I feel is going to work much better for us.
My experience with LinkedIn is, um, if you try to sell somebody something, it doesn't work. What you can use LinkedIn for is to build relationships. I
Yeah.
mean, you were in my list of business owners, so we've been inviting business owners to come on the podcast because I find business owners are much better guests than just consultants. A, you've got a problem we can work on, and
Right.
B, it's way more interesting. Now we're
Yeah.
about to start something as an experiment. I'm interested in your thought on this. Is that
Hmm.
we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do a one session mastermind that we're going to invite people to attend. And the mastermind is going to cover two things. A, it's not going to be a sales thing,
Hmm.
number one, which we'll be very specific about, as we were with the podcast invitation, by the way.
Yeah.
But we're going to answer two questions. One is, if we were to get together 3 years from now, what would have to happen for you to feel like you've been personally and professionally successful? That's the Dan Sullivan R squared
Hmm.
question.
Hmm.
And the second thing is what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your business today? And my
Hmm.
goal is we'll get 7 people together. Everyone will go through that, and you'll walk away with at least something to think about as far as the biggest challenge you're facing.
I love that idea.
Do you?
Yeah,
Cool.
no, I think it's great. And are you doing that as also as a marketing tactic
Yes.
to build to
Yeah.
build
I
your
mean,
network or build?
there's going to be people who show up at these that
Hmm.
are perfect matches for one of our 4 programs.
Yeah.
And if they are, after the thing is over with, I'll send them an email saying, "Hey, you're a perfect match for this program. Would you be willing to get on the phone with me for 20 minutes and talk about it, see if it'd be a good fit?"
Hmm. Hmm.
And if they say no, that's okay. If they say yes, we'll have a conversation.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this idea is you're already giving people so much value, whether they continue into one of your programs, right? Like you're expanding their network, they're going to gain some knowledge, and they're focused on solving their problem, as well as like just creating goodwill among other owners, helping solve their problems too. So it's already
I
a win, right?
Yeah, I find that group coaching is way more valuable than one-on-one coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I'm involved in I've been involved in coaching programs on and off for 45 years. I think we all should have a coach almost all the
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
I ask this question. I say, if the best athletes, best performers, best musicians in the world all have coaches, why don't business owners?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It helps so much. I mean, you just need somebody to bounce ideas off of too, besides your team, right? So
Right.
different to have a coach versus a team because there's more of a pure relationship there and advisement, right?
Well, your peers of other business owners are likely to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience is your team never tells you the truth. They sometimes get close, but they are always checking what they say. And
Mm-hmm.
I use my daughter for an example. She just changed jobs, or she's changing jobs next week,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the last week. And now she's telling people what she really thinks. She
Oh,
would never
really?
have said that. And it's not like it's being pejorative about it. She's
Right.
just saying, this is things I think we should be doing here and we're not doing. And she wouldn't say it before because she didn't have the confidence and the safety to do that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, we're all used to people yelling at us when we
Mm,
make a mistake or we do something wrong or we say something someone doesn't want to hear. And building safety in a company
mhm.
is a really big deal. And I'm not talking about DEI safety because a lot of that is we're using it to
Right.
punish others. I'm talking about real safety where you're allowed to say something and you're not punished for it.
Mhm, mhm.
When you make a mistake, the question that someone asks is, "What did you learn?" Not "Why did you make that mistake?"
Mhm,
Who
mhm.
cares why you made the mistake?
Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings from Brene Brown is, "We're all always doing the best we can."
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. Such a compassionate statement too, right? When you come at things from that lens, I mean, you can't help but to be about, forgiveness and acceptance versus criticism, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, the thing that we need to do to, here's another question for you, and we'll have to end
Yeah.
here. Who do you think is more important, customers or team members?
Ooh, that is a great question. I would say if I had to prioritize them, I would put team first because if you don't have a satisfied team, it's going to be very difficult to have satisfied customers, right? Because your team, along with you, is the one who supports and serves your customers. So I would say team first. But
I
what's
100% agree with that.
okay?
And the reason is that we've all gone into companies where the team is not treated well.
Hmm.
And what does the team do? They turn around
They,
and repay the favor. They
yeah.
don't treat your customers well.
And they're probably not very happy. And I think that that energy is felt, even through a Zoom call, you can feel a person's happiness or not,
Yeah,
right? It's their
absolutely.
energy.
I use United Airlines as an example all the time. You go
Yeah.
back 7 or 8 years, United Airlines had the worst CEO in the world. The guy was a jerk.
Hmm.
And he acted jerky, and the jerkiness went through the whole company. And you could be sure that nobody at United was happy about giving you great service. They changed CEOs about 3 or 4 years ago, and the difference at United is unbelievable. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
relatively pleasant. It's hard to be pleasant on any airline, but
Yeah.
it's relatively pleasant experience now. And it's all
The
because it all runs downhill the way you're treated.
Oh, it totally does. It reminds me, there's a saying in Greek, in the Greek language, which is the fish rots from the head, right? It's like
Yes.
very top down.
Yeah.
And it's the same in any organization or company, right? The leader has so much to do with the culture, with the tone, uh, you know, the satisfaction of pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Rachel, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Okay.
And I consider you one of the best branding people I know, period.
Oh, thank you. That's
So
a
I
high
think,
compliment coming from you.
thank you. And I think that know that some people listening to this podcast are going to want to get more information from you. So how would they go about doing that?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Rachel Gogos. You can certainly send me a direct message there. I'm also on Facebook, same first name and last name. And then our website is the THE brand, BRANDID is in dog.com. So you're welcome to visit there and drop a note through our contact page.
Cool. And I've got something I also would like you to do. I've been asking this for about almost, I'm going on 9 years now. Hard to believe. But wherever you're listening to this podcast, please go and give us an honest rating and review. If you love us, you can give us 5 stars. If you hate us, you give us 1 star. I cry, sit in the corner, and turn into a little puddle. You get to laugh, but you get to rate us. But I really, 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 please, 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 please go and give us an honest rating review. It's really important. So this is Josh Patrick. We're with Rachel Gogos. You're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.